As the years pass and the mirror begins to reflect a face more lined than before, hair less full, posture slightly more stooped, many people over the age of 60 start to feel something quietly unsettling that creeps in. Not always announced, but always present. A growing sense of invisibility, a feeling that somehow they no longer register the way they used to in the eyes of others, that the vibrancy, the spark, the commanding presence they once held in a room has faded into something muted, overlooked, ignored. And while this feeling can come from many places, a youth-obsessed culture, children growing up and needing less, partners growing distant, social circles shrinking, it often settles deeply into the body, creating tension, stiffness, disconnection, and a kind of dullness in the way we move, the way we carry ourselves, the way we feel about being seen. And for many, this invisibility isn't just about others not noticing, it's about no longer noticing ourselves, no longer. Waking up and feeling alive in our own skin, no longer walking into a space and believing we still matter, still radiate presence, still hold value that demands to be felt. And this loss, subtle and slow, takes a toll not just on emotional health, but on the nervous system, the muscles, the fascia, the organs of perception. And over time, the weight of it shows up as shallow breathing, rounded shoulders, tension in the neck, tightness in the hips, a voice that loses confidence, and eyes that stop looking outward with boldness and instead look down, as if already apologizing for taking up space. But what if this process of becoming invisible wasn't inevitable? What if there was a way to shift it? Not with surgery or expensive self-help courses, but through something ancient, simple, deeply embodied, and profoundly human. Touch, more specifically, a certain kind of massage performed with intention and presence that reawakens the very centers of your body and mind responsible for posture, presence, pleasure, and power. And this is not the kind of massage you get in a spa with soft music and lavender oil, nor is it a deep tissue clinical massage meant to loosen knots. This massage is about reconnection, about returning to a part of the body that is often ignored, yet holds an immense amount of our emotional and energetic charge. And that place is the chest, the sternum, the upper pectorals, and the area surrounding the heart. An area that, as we age, tends to collapse. Forward, tighten with the weight of emotion, and close off not just physically but symbolically. And the massage you're about to learn is one that gently but powerfully reverses this collapse, inviting blood flow, nerve activation, and energetic expansion into a place that often goes untouched for years. And when you begin to work this area consistently, even just a few minutes a day, something astonishing begins to happen. Not only do your shoulders roll back and your chest begin to open naturally, but your breathing deepens, your voice strengthens, your eye contact sharpens, and your sense of being seen, of being alive, of being worth attention returns, and the effects ripple far beyond the physical, because touch to the chest isn't just muscular. It sends signals to the vagus nerve, which regulates your parasympathetic nervous system, meaning this massage begins to calm your heart rate, slow your breath, reduce your cortisol, and shift your body into a state of safety, warmth, and presence. And in that state, confidence blooms, not as a mental trick or motivational speech, but as a lived physiological reality, because your body begins to feel safe to take up space again, safe to be seen again, safe to shine again. And what's even more powerful is that this massage doesn't require anyone else. It's something you can do for yourself in your own time, in your own home, with nothing more than a few drops of natural oil and the willingness to spend 5 minutes a day. Touching your body not with shame, not with clinical detachment, but with attention, reverence, and curiosity. And you begin by simply placing your fingers along the center line of your sternum, just between the ribs, and slowly circling outward with light to moderate pressure, pausing wherever you find tightness or tenderness, breathing into that space, allowing your chest to soften, your ribs to expand, your breath to deepen. And as you continue in slow circles or gentle vertical strokes, you begin to feel heat rise, awareness increase, energy that was dormant begin to flow outward toward your shoulders, up into your throat, down into your solar plexus. And this massage becomes more than physical. It becomes a conversation with your body, a reminder to yourself that you still matter, that you are still here, that your body is not past its prime, but still worthy of love, care, attention, and touch. And the longer you commit to this simple ritual, the more profound the shifts become. Emotionally, you may find long-held grief beginning to move. Energetically, you may feel more open to connection, eye contact, speaking up. Hormonally, you may notice more vigor, more appetite for life. And socially, something shifts too, because when you carry yourself with a chest that is open and alive, with a spine that stands tall, and a presence that radiates subtle confidence, people notice, they turn toward you without knowing why. They feel your energy enter a room again, and longer feel like someone the world is walking past, but someone the world turns to meet, and that change doesn't come from the world adjusting. It comes from you choosing to return to yourself. Continuing from the awakening you feel as you begin to gently massage your sternum and chest area, it's important to understand the deeper physiological reasons why this practice can so profoundly affect your sense of presence and confidence after 60. Because beneath the surface of the skin lies a dense network of nerves, blood vessels, and connective tissue that directly influences your posture, your breathing, and your emotional state. And the sternum area is particularly important because it sits at the center of your body's energy system, connecting your heart, lungs, and major nerve bundles, including the vagus nerve, which is one of the longest cranial nerves in the body, plays a critical role in regulating your parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for rest, recovery, and calm. And stimulating this nerve through touch activates what is called the relaxation response, lowering your heart rate, reducing stress hormones like cortisol, and promoting feelings of safety and well-being. And for men and women over 60 who have spent decades carrying accumulated stress, tension, and emotional pain in their chest and shoulders, this simple touch-based practice begins to unwind those layers of tightness, encouraging blood flow and oxygenation to muscles and fascia that have become chronically constricted. And that tension doesn't just make you physically uncomfortable or restrict your mobility. It sends constant signals to your brain that you're in a state of alert or threat, even when you're not, which subconsciously shrinks your posture, lowers your gaze, and narrows your presence. And this subtle body language of contraction and invisibility becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, creating the very sense of being overlooked or disregarded that many people over 60 experience. And so by physically opening the chest through massage, You're interrupting this cycle at its root, encouraging a new pattern of openness and expansion, both physically and mentally. And this is why many people who regularly practice this chest massage report not just better posture, but a renewed sense of courage to speak up, make eye contact, and reconnect with others on a deeper level. Because confidence is not simply a mental state or an attitude. It is the embodiment of how your body holds itself in space. And when your body is open, breathing deeply, and free of chronic tension, your nervous system naturally supports feelings of power and connection. And beyond the nervous system, this massage also encourages lymphatic drainage and improves circulation, helping to flush out toxins and reduce inflammation that often accumulate in the upper chest and shoulder region due to poor posture, inactivity, or chronic stress. And because inflammation is closely linked to mood disorders, fatigue, and hormonal imbalance, reducing it creates a cascade of positive effects on your overall health, which further supports emotional resilience and vitality. And in addition to these physical and neurological benefits, the massage serves as a mindful ritual, a dedicated time each day to check in with yourself, to slow down, to breathe, and to offer kindness and acceptance to a part of your body and soul that may have been neglected. And this act of self-care is profoundly healing because it shifts your relationship with your own body from one of frustration, pain, or neglect to one of appreciation and respect. And this shift has ripple effects on your mental health, reducing anxiety and depression, which are common feelings of invisibility and loneliness among older adults. And as your mood improves, so too does your energy and motivation to engage with life, build social connections, and pursue passions that bring joy and meaning. And while it might seem simple, the power of touch, especially self-touch administered with intention, cannot be overstated. Because touch is one of the most fundamental ways we communicate safety, acceptance, and love to ourselves. And when that communication is consistent and nurturing, it rewires the brain, creating new pathways that reinforce positive self-image, body awareness, and confidence. And if you combine this massage with other supportive habits like mindful breathing, gentle stretching, or light movement, the benefits multiply exponentially because these practices all work synergistically to loosen tension, increase blood flow, and reset the nervous system into a more balanced, calm, and empowered state. And the best part is that this massage requires no special equipment, no expensive classes, and no complicated techniques. Just a commitment to spend a few quiet minutes each day tending to yourself with compassion and presence. And as you continue, you may notice subtle changes in how you carry yourself throughout the day. Your shoulders naturally roll back, your chin lifts slightly, your breath deepens without effort, and you feel more visible, more alive, and more ready to face the world with a new sense of strength and purpose. And that is the beginning of reclaiming your confidence, not through external validation, but through deep internal alignment, because true confidence is the result of feeling at home in your own body. And when you achieve that, invisibility fades away, replaced by a radiant presence that commands respect and invites connection. And all of this transformation starts with that one simple massage, that gentle touch to your chest, reminding you every day that you are still here, still worthy, still powerful, and still very much seen. And as this daily chest massage begins to take root as a ritual of reconnection, many over the age of 60 begin to notice something even more profound happening beneath the surface. Because it's not just about opening the physical chest or improving circulation or even feeling more calm and centered in the moment. What slowly begins to shift is your entire relationship with visibility, with being seen and truly seen. Not in the way the world sees youth or trendiness or beauty filtered through superficial lenses, but in the way someone walks into a room and brings with them a presence that cannot be ignored, a kind of grounded magnetism that radiates not from what they wear or say, but from how at home they're within their own skin. And this massage becomes the foundation for cultivating that inner authority, that quiet yet unmistakable energy of self-acceptance and self-assurance. Because when you take the time to tune into your body each day, to soften the tension, to invite breath and warmth and feeling back into a space that may have grown cold or collapsed over the years, you begin to remember yourself, not as an older person defined by age or loss, but as someone who still has power, sensuality, wisdom, and presence waiting just beneath the surface. And it's in that remembering that everything starts to change, because when your body opens, your perception of yourself shifts. And when that happens, the world begins to respond differently to you. And you may begin to notice that people make more eye contact, that conversations linger a bit longer, that your opinions are met with greater attention. Not because anything on the outside has changed dramatically, but because you're no longer shrinking, apologizing, hiding, or subconsciously signaling that you've faded from relevance. And the psychological impact of this is enormous, because the feeling of invisibility is rarely about literal invisibility. It's about what you communicate through posture, energy, and voice tone. And when those begin to align with a sense of aliveness, the way others perceive you shifts as well. And this is where many people begin to experience something unexpected. Not only a physical transformation in posture, breath, and comfort, but an emotional release that may bring tears, memories, or even laughter, because the chest is not just a physical space. It is an emotional vault storing grief, unexpressed anger, unmet needs, the pain of loss, the ache of years spent caring for others while neglecting oneself. And as you soften this space each day, it is not uncommon to feel waves of emotion rise up and pass through. And this too is healing, because when you let those feelings move, you reclaim pieces of yourself that were locked away. You integrate past experiences into the wisdom of your body. And with each breath, each stroke of the hand over your heart, you're telling your nervous system it is safe now, safe to be open, safe to feel, safe to be seen and from. This place, confidence stops being something you perform and starts being something you embody naturally. And over time, you may find yourself standing taller without trying, speaking more clearly without overthinking, or simply enjoying your own company in a way that feels nourishing and full. And what's even more powerful is how this small act of care ripples outward into your relationships. Because as your confidence grows, your energy becomes easier to connect with, your warmth more palpable, your presence more comforting, and others begin to respond in kind. Whether it's loved ones feeling more drawn to be around you, strangers offering smiles and kindness, or even old friendships rekindling in the light of your renewed energy. And this is the kind of transformation that cannot be bought or faked. It must be felt from the inside out. And it is born from the simple act of placing your hand on your chest each day and choosing to show up for yourself. And the truth is, you don't need to be loud to be seen. You don't need to chase attention to feel valuable. You simply need to remember that your existence still holds weight, your voice still matters, and your body still deserves to be touched with care, not just by others, but by you. Because the messages you send to your own body shape the messages the world receives from you. And every time you soften that chest tension, every time you breathe deeply and reclaim your upright spine, you are telling yourself and everyone around you, I'm still here, I still matter, I still have something to give. And while the world may have tried to tell you that your time to shine is past, the truth is there has never been a better time to own your experience, to stand in your story, and to radiate the quiet power that comes from having lived, loved, lost, endured, and emerged with more wisdom than any trending post or passing fad can offer. And this massage, this simple, human, intentional practice is your invitation to come back home to yourself, to awaken the sleeping parts of your identity, to heal the layers of pain held in your chest and shoulders, and to open up to the possibility that maybe the best years aren't behind you. Not because they will look the same as before, but because this time you are fully present, fully aware, and fully owning your worth in a way you never had the chance to before. And as this massage becomes not just a habit, but a sacred space for reconnection, you begin to sense that the feeling of invisibility was never a permanent truth, but rather a signal from your body asking you to come back to it. And now that you have, everything else begins to respond in kind. And now that this massage has become more than a practice, more than a tool or technique, and more than something you simply do, but rather something you feel, something you return to not out of obligation, but because you begin to crave that moment of stillness, warmth, connection with yourself. You may begin to realize that what has been missing all along was not the admiration of others or society's recognition or the approval of peers or even the physical strength of your youth, but the soft and unwavering knowing that you are allowed to fully occupy your own life, that you never stopped being someone of value, someone of depth, someone with the ability to influence a room just by being in it. And as your shoulders continue to drop, your breath continues to deepen, and your chest continues to open day by day, what you may feel more than anything else is relief. Not just physical, but emotional relief. The kind that comes when you realize you no longer need to carry the burden of pretending you're less than you are, of shrinking, of dimming your light, so that the world around you doesn't notice your age or your lines or your changes, because now you realize those changes are not a loss of beauty or value, but the living evidence of having survived, grown, transformed, and kept going despite the moments you thought you couldn't. And that kind of strength is not invisible to the world. Not when you let it show through your body language, your smile, the calm in your voice, the way your eyes stay steady and unafraid when someone speaks to you, and you begin to walk into each day with your chest no longer tight and guarded, but open and soft and strong, as though you are welcoming life in again. And others notice, not always in words, not always in grand gestures, but in the way they start turning toward you instead of away, the way conversations flow more easily, the way someone in line meets your gaze and holds it, the way your children or grandchildren sense that you are still rooted, still present, still very much in your power. And while this change may not happen overnight, with each day of returning to that one massage, of tracing slow, mindful circles over the heart, of releasing tension from the sternum and drawing breath deeper into the ribs, you begin to reset your entire nervous system's understanding of who you are and how you belong in the world. And as you soften the space around your heart, you begin to allow your authentic self to lead again, not the version of you that's been edited down to be palatable, invisible, or less intimidating, but the real you, full and alive and ready to express, to feel, to engage, and to love, because this is not just about confidence in the traditional sense. It's about reclaiming your visibility not as a superficial spotlight, but as a birthright, and when you no longer abandon yourself. The world cannot help but pay attention, and slowly that heaviness that used to sit on your chest, the one that whispered you were no longer relevant or needed, begins to melt away. And in its place is a quiet but powerful certainty that you are exactly where you need to be, and you no longer look for permission to take up space, to speak, to feel proud, because you've given that permission to yourself through this act of self-touch, through choosing again and again to remember who you are beneath the labels and roles and years. And in this remembering, something beautiful happens. You begin to radiate a kind of magnetic, embodied wisdom that cannot be faked or manufactured or sold, the kind of presence that draws others to you without you needing to chase it. And maybe for the first time in a long time, you feel not only noticed but truly seen, not only seen but deeply valued. And it all began with one massage, one hand on your chest, one breath at a time. And if there's one message you carry from this moment forward, let be this: you are not invisible. You have never been invisible, and everything you've lived through has only made your light stronger, more refined, and more real. So keep coming back to your chest, your breath, your center, because that is where your power lives. And when you walk in that power, the world around you shifts, not because it has changed, but because you have chosen to no longer disappear. And that is the kind of choice that sets everything else in motion, because when you see yourself clearly, others begin to see you too, and you become not just visible again, but magnetic, grounded, beautiful, and free.